Herzlich willkommen zum Screening von We Intend to Cause HAVOC im Rahmen des 35. DOK.festes, des DOK.fest München dieses Jahr at Home. Der Film, über den wir sprechen, ist in der Reihe Doc Music am Start. Es ist die Deutschland-Premiere und I say a very warm welcome to the director of the film, Gio Arlotta, and to the producer and DOP, Spreng. Hello and welcome, you two.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here with you. Well, here and there, I guess.
Thank you as well. Happy to be here.
Hi, Tim. Starting with Gio. Gio, where do we meet now in the space? Where are you located?
I'm in northern Italy at the moment, at my parents' farmhouse, where I got blocked 2 months ago when the whole thing started. Well, there are worse places to be stuck in, I imagine, because I'm actually in the countryside, so I can go for walks. So that's where I am right now.
Can you work from there? Can you?
Yeah. I mean,
new ideas.
Yeah, I can do stuff from here definitely, and it's been some time to definitely put a few new ideas together. Definitely a lot of time for that, I guess.
First of all, some informations about you. Gio Arlotta, you are 33 years old, I think, around?
I'm not, I'm 35. You made me a lot younger on the site, so that's great.
Excellent. And you're a music blogger. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I mean, about, what was it? 6 years ago, I started a music blog, which mainly focused on underground music, a lot of which had a sort of a psychedelic tag to it. While I was doing my blog, I then started wanting to do videos for it. And I thought of shooting videos of bands that I liked that passed through Milan. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I had a lot of ideas, not so much money. So I didn't have a camera, so I thought, well, I could buy like a bad digital camera for 200 euros or top of the line VHS for 30. So I bought a VHS camera and I started doing videos with that.
Excellent.
And then after a couple of months, some friends, Italian friends, that were doing a trip across Africa to market a truck, and they asked me to come if I wanted to go along to take a few photographs and help. And when I knew we were doing that, I'm passing through Zambia. I knew that I had to find out about Which, because I knew about their music, but I was very, very interested in the sort of like what made that music happen. And so that's how it's.
And it's so powerful, and Which is actually the short form of the film. It's We Intend to Cause HAVOC. This is like Which, the letters. We talk immediately about this wonderful film, this wonderful portrait of this music of Which, and of it's a portrait also about Zambia. Shortly to Tim. Tim, you are the producer and the director of photography. Tell us just a sentence about your biography in filming.
Okay, yeah. I mean, currently, I'm based in Germany, actually not so far away from Munich. Mm-hmm. But I studied film in Prague at film school there. And then basically we started off from there, and Gio and we got connected. And yeah, that's it's my first feature music documentary. Before I shot a couple of feature films and things like this. And as we did it with my few colleagues at our production company, that's why I somehow got involved also producing it with Gio, but primarily, of course, shooting it and doing the cinematography, which was amazing. Like, it was most beautiful project to be there in Zambia, and yeah.
And if you see the film, you can immediately imagine that you both work as a band in a way together. Of course, you're not doing music directly, but director and the DOP is so much rhythm in the film, and the whole film is living of rhythm, this wonderful music of Which. And Gio, you are now the manager of this band. So this is the whole story now in 90 minutes. But let's start at the beginning. You made a trip to Africa and met the frontman of the old Which band, is that right?
That's right. I met, the first time I was there, I met Jaggery, who is the lead singer and last surviving member of the original band.
It's Emmanuel Jaggery Janda.
That's it.
That's
him. And I met up with him. At the time, he was his main occupation was a gemstone miner. So he was mining gemstones in the ground in Zambia, and he kind of still does that, definitely. But that was his main thing. And when I got there, I was just really fascinated about the music, and I wanted to find out more about how it was recorded, what the influences were, and so on. But by doing so, I also learned more about his life, and I started to understand that perhaps the life of an aging African rock star is quite different from the life of an aging rock star from the Western world. Mm-hmm. He went through so many things in his life and had to face a lot of challenges. And, after I came back and then I started talking to Tim, that's when he was like, well, the music side is very interesting, but if you look at it from like a human perspective, also that's very interesting because it's a life, from another part of the world for us that we don't know about. So it's definitely interesting to explore that. And that's where we...
And there is so much, in a way, drama in the story that Jaggery works as a mine worker with this very monotone work, like to shovel earth and to get the gemstones and all this. And then on the other side, he is this famous musician with all this vivid music in it. Tim, when you shot the film, could you feel immediately the rhythm that comes out of this performer?
Oh yeah, certainly. Jaggery has such an energy. Like if he's entering a room, you feel it. Like just his energy, and you feel that he was a frontman of a very popular band. Like I think he was a crowd puller, as they always said. Like the crowds were going crazy, and you can feel that. And he's a very creative and very smart man. So this was always, it was any moment, any second when we were there. Also, they became friends, of course, because we went to Zambia a couple times. And so any moment with him and his friends was beautiful. And of course, you can feel it, that he is.
Yes. And I mean, you have to imagine, and you will see it in the film, that the band, which is called the Beatles of Zambia, one cultural lady says in the film, it's the happening, or it was the happening in the 70s. So this band was really very, very famous in Zambia, and you could get this groove again. How many trips did you do to finish the film in Zambia? How many years did you?
I went once on my first trip, been doing all this research. Let's go on a research trip. Then we went together with Tim and a whole crew, and that's when Jaco Gardner and Nick Mauskowicz came, the two musicians that played with Jaggery in Zambia. Mm-hmm. And then after that, Tim and I went another time to really dig deep into the archives, which you see in the film, to look for the archive footage.
With the mask on.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was a foretelling of what's happening right now. But yeah, we definitely had to wear masks, gloves. It was this room that it was very dusty, hadn't been open in 17 years, and it was quite toxic. So we got used to the masks back then already.
Uh-huh. And then, how many trips for the real shooting?
Oh no, that was it. We went twice shooting, and then once I was there for research.
Okay, excellent. And then when was the idea born to bring up young musicians together with Jaggery and create kind of a new band, or like a Which.2?
Yeah, well, that happened it was this weird things happening one after the other. So like the day that I decided to go to Africa the first time, I was shooting one of those sessions I told you about before on VHS with Jaco Gardner. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about, like, man, I'm going to go to do this trip in Africa. I'm going to meet this band. He's like, okay, sounds cool, whatever. Then we met up a year later in Milan again because he was playing there. We had become friends, so we hung out. And I was like, oh, well, look, I'm doing this. Here's the music. And he liked it. Then we met again a couple of months later. And he's like, oh, Gio, since you've been everywhere, well, not everywhere, but in a lot of places in Africa, you know, I'd love to go to Africa, find a musician from the 70s, play with him, record something, and have you come along and film. And I was like, that sounds great. Maybe Ethiopia, this. And I was like, well, I'm kind of doing that in Zambia already. Why don't we join forces? And we joined forces. They came to Zambia with us when Tim was there as well, the first time. And we did a concert there. After having come back to Europe, we're like, okay, it seems like we've brought these guys to Zambia, but we need to bring Jaggery to Europe. And so like we started like looking to make a tour out of it, find other musicians to help him, and also see the contrast of the reception of a crowd in Zambia and one in Europe. Because although he was like the most famous person in Zambia back then, people our age don't even know he existed. Whilst here in Europe, the whole fan base is our age because younger people.
In the film, the band members have kind of funny hats. I call them Schlapphüte. Tim, is this the right translation for these colorful hats?
Yeah, exactly. It would be the witch hat.
Witch hat, okay.
Yeah, the witch hat.
I mean, as you can see on both the posters behind Tim and I.
Yes.
That's the funny thing. Yeah, that's the funny thing that when they even play, sometimes they can't see anything, and that was how they did it also back in the 70s when they played.
So basically, what happened is that there was what 4 photographs of Witch from back in the 70s, and one of them they had these cool hats. Yeah. So when we made the first show in Zambia, we're like, well, it's gonna look really cool if they all wear these hats. And then it slowly became like a trademark. And now every time in the new tours we've made after that, every time they play, they're wearing a hat. And then after a while, maybe they take it off because it gets a bit in the way. But when they walk on stage, they definitely have it on.
It's
and,
very... Please, Gio?
No, I was saying that the interesting thing that you see in the film is also we managed to find the original tailor from back in the 70s that made these originally to make them again. So we kind of revived that as well, I guess.
There is a scene in the film where you can see when he's going to the tailor and gets his name. So there are a lot of elements in the film. One is the musical side, and the other is this life story of Janda, of Jaggery, and also it's a portrait of Zambia. There are a lot of impressions in the film that are very, very strong, but the music, the speed goes through the whole film. How long did you work for the music tuning, for the music final?
Well, the editing lasted a year, a whole year. So we both worked quite closely with the editor. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, we had 200 hours of shot footage. So we had to look through that and then come up with an hour and a half. I kind of like, there was a lot of songs that, you know, I feel are just incredible songs. So we had to add them in the film, and they really can enhance what you see there. And then we had also Jaco Gardner, who the bassist in Witch and the new Witch, he took some songs from Witch and kind of deconstructed them completely to make a synth soundtrack or a score for it. So you have like the really high energy rock and roll, and then you have the very sort of ambient, spacey stuff when it's more the reflective parts.
That's kind of like was a challenge because they have so many great songs, or you also get into them more and more, and then of course sometimes you would wish to hear songs longer, but then you can go to the upcoming concert soon again, hopefully. Yeah,
tell us a little bit about the future. I mean, the film is screened now on the DOK.fest here in Munich, of course, and is it planned, is there a cinema start or another concerts, of which tell us this at the end of our talk?
Well, I mean, there were planned, but you know, the situation is a bit strange, so we don't really know when the whole thing is going to start again. We were theoretically meant to do a US tour in June, our second US tour, and then come over to Europe in the fall, but it looks very unlikely. I mean, it's very difficult right now to say when this whole circuit will be back and up and running. The optimist people are saying October, November. The others are saying next year. It's difficult to tell. I hope soon, with the right precautions, obviously.
And this then hopefully along with a cinema theatrical release, so the film would be in cinemas. Of course, it would be perfect then, like in Germany or in Europe, to have the concert or the film and afterwards the concert, because we did that a few times and people are like, whoever sees this now, either you have seen the film or you will see this film. Even still when I watch it, I'm so like full of energy. And then if you see then the concert or see Jaggery entering the room, there's such a power. So yeah, it will happen for sure. Either end of the year, this fall, if not next year.
Okay, excellent, great. Yeah, this film causes a lot of rhythm. I screened it, and you keep the rhythm when you see the film, even after the film. So that would be very nice if the people pump up really the volume when they screen the film at home, and let their neighbors also listen to this film.
Cause some havoc.
During the DOK.fest now. And also what works very good is the energetic exchange between the young musicians and Jaggery. Do you have contact with Jaggery?
Oh yeah, for sure we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I speak to him every week or something like that. He's currently stuck in New Jersey, which is not the best place to be stuck in at the moment, because
did he had a concert there, or what does he
do?
we
had a concert there in February, and then we had one in California, and he was staying there at a relative of his with his wife, and he was going to fly back to Zambia, but just as he was about to do that, they closed all the airports, so he's been stuck there
in New Jersey. And he can make music there? Can he make music there?
He can. He's got a guitar, so he's playing a little bit, and hopefully writing some new songs that we'll be able to share with everybody soon.
Excellent. Tim and Gio, do you have another plans for the future, next films together?
Possibly, yes, but I think they're still up here and they need to come out of our minds still. But I would imagine so, I would hope so.
Probably maybe something like narrative. Yeah, let's see. But we have been working together since 5 years, Gio. When did we start?
Yeah, I think 5 years. So
amazing how how it all came together, and how much fun work can be.
Excuse me, the last thing again, Tim?
We're working on this project through the project which we also met since 4 or 5 years, and it's amazing how much fun work is, and if you do a project together, what you really like, and then of course, why not to do anything else in the future?
Mm-hmm. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Tim Spreng, the producer and DOP of the film, and the director Gio Arlotta of the film. We intend to cause havoc, which means witch. Gio, you are the new manager of this band. We from the DOK.fest wish you very much success with this film. A very nice screening here on the DOK.fest. And I hope you see all other films of the DOK.fest too.
Definitely. And thank you so much for having us and for this very nice chat.